Verses 31 through 37. It has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, makes her the victim of adultery, and anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Now here Jesus makes a little bit of a transition. He is attacking a misreading of the Old Testament, which had led to a very casual understanding of divorce. The Old Testament allowed for divorce for displeasing your mate or finding something indecent in your mate. That's Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. And Jesus is saying here that the way that should be understood is to mean sexual immorality. That God allowed for divorce when there was sexual immorality, but God never required divorce when there was sexual immorality. God would much rather that there would be repentance and forgiveness and commitment and a rebuilding of the relationship and trust. I will just tell you that when that happens, that is a powerful testimony for the power of God. I had an elder in a church who years and years and years earlier had committed adultery. And he and his wife had separated for almost a year, and they decided they're both Christians. They got to put Jesus first. They got to rebuild their marriage. And they did. And as a result of that, not only throughout the years afterwards did they have a powerful ministry of being an encouragement to struggling couples. Okay? But that was a testimony of the redemptive power of God. So just because adultery happens in a marriage doesn't mean that God requires divorce. God would rather that there be forgiveness, repentance, and a commitment and a rebuilding of the relationship. But what had happened by the time of Matthew chapter 5, and what we see in our world today, is that even some Jewish scholars were saying that displeasing and something indecent included anything that upset one of the marriage partners. Okay? Jesus has said we should understand that as meaning sexual immorality. But people were misreading it and had just broadened the definition to crazy lengths. One rabbi even said that it could mean burning the toast. If your wife burns the toast and you find that displeasing, you have cause for divorce. So he says here, Jesus wants people to understand that covenantal commitment of marriage and that it cannot be broken except by adultery, whether that adultery is committed before the divorce or after. That's what breaks the covenant of marriage.